UNHCR's work continues. We're present on Lesvos Island and all the islands where we've had operational capacity. Even before the deal for months, we were focusing on humanitarian interventions to assist the arrivals as they would come into shore or into the port. We were also working in the Moria hotspot, providing humanitarian assistance, assisting the authorities in building the reception capacity with infrastructure work, with improving conditions, and also doing our protection work. We've been working across the island in all the sites with all the partners. Since the EU-Turkey deal came into force on the 20th of March, we have redefined our role inside the Moria hotspot. Since the 20th of March, the Moria hotspot has become a closed facility, and initially UNHCR disengaged from transportation services to and from Moria. Prior to the EU-Turkey deal, we were the ones transporting the vast majority of arrivals from the shoreline and the ports to the Moria hotspot, where people were received, they were assisted, registered, and usually they would spend 1 or 2 days accommodated there. Since the deal came into force, it became a de facto detention facility, and this forced us to redefine our role. We stopped transportation services. We also moved away from humanitarian assistance inside. We're now focusing on protection monitoring of procedures and conditions. We're working to identify people with specific needs, and inside the Moria hotspot there are families with young children, there are single-headed households, there are pregnant women, lactating mothers, elderly, people with psychological or physical disabilities as well. We're trying to identify them and inform the authorities of their presence. We're also working to counsel on rights and procedures to seek asylum. I think it's a very confusing and anxious situation for everyone who has been operating for months on the island, particularly the volunteers and the NGOs, both national and international, since now it's very uncertain what will happen for those that have been coming in. It's important to note that in Greece, since the beginning of last year, over 1 million people have arrived across this sea, coming from Turkey across the Aegean to the Greek coast. Most of those people, over 91% of them, are coming from one of the top 10 refugee-producing countries. Syrians make up half of the flow. Afghans make up about a quarter. Iraqis make up about 19–20%. And we've seen a very interesting shift in demographics as well. If you look back to September of last year, 1 in 9 people arriving was a child. Now it's 1 out of 3. In fact, women and children make up over 60% of all the arrivals. And it's very uncertain what work and how the assistance will be coming together with the help of humanitarians and volunteers, because now the authorities have full responsibility to take charge of the situation. And inside the Moria hotspot, which is a closed facility, many of the NGOs and volunteers have also redefined their roles. Some have left Moria, others have scaled back their assistance. Overall, there is a atmosphere of confusion. We're waiting to see how the deal will be implemented. UNHCR feels that the necessary safeguards are still not in place, and we've in fact urged for immediate safeguards to make sure that those that have a protection need are given access to a robust, credible asylum procedure. Those that are found to be in need of protection are given access to work, to education, to healthcare, wherever possible, affordable housing, if necessary, social assistance. Those that do not qualify for refugee protection, even before the EU-Turkey deal, could be subject to return under the existing bilateral readmission agreement between the two countries. But they also should be given access to an appeal stage, and obviously due process must be followed. We've seen a considerable decrease in the number of arrivals. As I mentioned, over 1 million people arrived across the sea to Greece in a little over a year. The majority of those have landed here on Lesvos Island. Last year, over 500,000 people arrived. Already this year, upwards of 88,000 have arrived. And every single day, especially prior to the deal, we would have in this type of weather 1,000, 1,500, up to 2,000 people coming through. In recent days, we've seen about 300 come through. A couple of days ago, about 500 came through. Still arrivals on the shoreline, picked up mid-sea by the Coast Guard and Frontex, or up in the northern shore, but the numbers have declined. We're hoping that the relocation scheme, which was agreed last year proposed by the European Commission, adopted by the European Council, will be made a successful program, because currently, because of border closures in the north with the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, we've seen a rapid buildup of refugees and migrants. Now there are over 51,000 people in about 30 sites across the country. Many of them have a protection need, many of them are seeking asylum, and many of them actually qualify for the relocation program. We need to see EU member states making pledges and the transfers to go through. So far, about 600 people have left from Greece to other EU member states. We have to see thousands of people benefiting from this program. For Greece specifically, it is stipulated that up to 66,400 should benefit, and we need to see this becoming a reality.